Hey, Joe, you's on the line.
Hey, Papa Swolio. My name's Joe. I'm 46 years old, and my question is regarding lifting. I'm brand new, just starting out. I bought a weight bench that goes up to 100 pounds, so I know I got to start somewhere. My question is, should I start with lower weight for as many reps as I can until I get used to it, then increase the weight over time, or should I just start off with heavy weight? I did download the 7 pillars, so I know I need to work on my nutrition, but I'm getting started. So I do appreciate everything. Thanks in advance.
All right, Joe, I appreciate the question. Again, if you want to call in, askpapaswolio.com. So that's a great question. First off, props on investing in your health and your future. A lot of people think that buying training equipment and stuff at home is an expense. It's not, it's an investment. It just keeps on giving back. You take care of this stuff, it'll last forever. So good for you. Now, a couple things when you said, should I start off with, and progress, or should I just start off with heavy weight? Understand that heavy weight is always going to be relative. So heavyweight for you, Joe, is not going to be what heavyweight for me is. It's not going to be what heavyweight for Nick is. It's not going to be what heavyweight is for Sheena or Steffi. It's not going to be the same. So heavy is relative. So here's what I recommend. Remember, when you first are starting out, form is essential. Now, in terms of doing intensity and volume, a couple things. When you first start training, you're not really able to go to failure. And what do I mean by that? Failure takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of quality form. It takes a lot of intensity to go to actual true failure or get as close to it as possible. And when you're new to training, again, you're new to training. So every stimulus is new and you can cause a lot of damage by trying to push yourself to absolute failure. So there's a couple different things when it comes to failure and a stimulus. If you have been training more often and you're doing similar exercise that you've always done, you don't get the novel stimulus from a new exercise. And a lot of you know this. If you do barbell all the time and you never really do dumbbell, and then you move to dumbbell work, you get sore in a whole new way because you're stabilizing more. Maybe you get a different stretch because you could rotate the weights, you hit a different angle. So you get different mechanical stresses. Or if you never used cables before, and this gym that you go to has a great setup where you can do chest, or a free motion machine where you can hit chest with cables, and it hits your muscles in a whole new way because of the strength profile and the angle and the whatever it is, that's a novel stimuli. So when you add a new novel stimuli or a new exercise to your programming, it's generally not recommended to go close to apps or as close to absolute failure, maybe leaving like 1 or 2 reps in the chamber, because you're also getting additional damage from the novel stimulus. Okay. Because remember, your training and your intensity needs to correlate to how well you're recovering. And if you're doing extra damage because of the novel stimuli, then it might take you longer to recover. And, essentially it's very similar to junk volume in the sense that you're getting a lot of stimuli from just the new movement. So when you're starting off, pretty much everything is a novel stimuli. So I would make sure you're doing, your training, proper form, make sure that you have a solid program. And I would keep maybe, anywhere between like 1 and 2 reps in reserve, RIR, meaning you still have 1 or 2 reps that you could possibly do. Learn proper form and start with maybe, a few sets per body part overall. Get on a quality training program with a split. Again, I'm just giving general ideas because I don't know what you're doing, necessarily what your goal is. You might have said so, but I was listening to you being newer to training. It depends on how often you're looking to train. It depends on how much time you have to train and really what material you have available and what exercise selection you're choosing. So I would make sure you're starting off less is more, quality form, focus more on getting to that higher intensity with good form and then adjusting the volume accordingly. So the harder you push a set to absolute failure, the more recovery and the more repair that your body requires. So again, being new to lifting, you need to understand that, one, you don't want to necessarily go to absolute failure, and two, you're not going to be able to because you don't have the neuromuscular coordination. You just don't have the adaptations required to go that hard. There's a lot of other factors. There's the motor unit recruitment, there's stabilizer muscles. You're just not going to be able to squeeze every last ounce of juice out of the muscle, if that makes sense. So the more advanced you get, the more towards failure you'll be able to push. Okay. So I would recommend doing maybe a little bit more volume for body parts. Start off with maybe like 4 to 6 sets per body part overall, spread out over the different exercises. And, you're going towards it's getting really difficult, maybe 2, 3 reps up until probably when you wouldn't be able to do any more and build from there. But it's really hard to give you more detail based on without seeing what you're doing and getting a little more context. I would also recommend joining the Swole Fam. You could start off with the 90-day dash program, which is really fantastic for activating those stabilizer muscles, working on joint imbalances, working on mobility, working on all those things that are going to be required for setting a proper foundation for building into, say, Swole season and Maximum Swole. I hope that answer is a great question. I hope that answer was sufficient. If it made sense to everyone, you can drop your thoughts in the chat. If it didn't make sense and you want me to clarify, maybe you can piggyback on that and let me know.